Kabbalah Satoida Besimcha B'Pnimius. It's 2 weeks for,
Wow.
and we already feel as we're getting close to Har Sinai. It feels really good. Someone brought me a letter that his father got from the Rebbe. His father was a student in the Lubavitch Yeshiva in Atvatsk, and he's administrator here in the Touro College. It's after there were two yeshivas that decided to take their students to Japan, China, Lubavitch, and the Mir Yeshiva, and that's how his father was saved. His father had a very close yachas to Lubavitch Rebbe, and and he brings me a ksav yad. I looked in the Rebbe's Igris, and I see that letter does not exist there. So I may have a copy of it, so I'm gonna give it to those that are publishing the Igris Kodesh and to publish it in the future. The two questions that sort of asked that Rebbe. One is they make wine from grapes. I mean, no one over here is drinking wine from grapes, but in Europe it was a very, very popular thing. My Zayda said that his father
Drinking wine from grapes.
they may take grapes and they make wine from the grapes. Sorry, raisins, raisins.
Yeah, make wine from grapes.
Yeah, yeah, verstehe. I'm sorry.
Great raisin.
Raisins. Instead of grapes, they make it from raisins. Shkoyach, I see someone's listening. So instead of grapes, they make it from raisins. Why? Because they couldn't get fresh grapes. Um, there were some people, the lechatchila, they always made kiddush on challah. That most of Europe even made kiddush only on challah. But there were
Is that because they couldn't afford the wine?
not that they couldn't afford. It was not the issue. They couldn't get it. It was not available.
It's the environment, no?
Huh?
Warriors, they do it.
Everyone, everyone made kiddush and challah. Besides the Hungarian Jews who had wine, everyone made kiddush and challah.
Really?
Yeah, everyone.
That's why you're older because they didn't have wine?
My Rosh Yeshiva tells me that he was friends before he came to Lubavitch. He was friends with Baruch Povarsky, Rebbe Povarsky. So we told him that when they came from Lithuania with his father, they came to Israel. The first Shabbos they made kiddush and wine. We said, Tati, but that's not our minhag. We make it on challah. Yeah, the common thing was they didn't have wine. So Siddur and Shemaisa used to get raisins. Raisins are easier to ship. It's not like fresh grapes that are, and they used to make raisin wine, wines from raisins. So there is a lot of slew of shilas atruvas the past few hundred years about what is the ratio, this and that. There is all kinds of questions. I printed out a long article here from Belz Chassidim. The Belz Rebbe was running away from the Germans at Baum Belz, and he was mamash was in danger, but still he was makfid in Shabbos to make kiddush on wine. He tried very hard. So here in there's a whole story about when he was in. He wanted to have so he wanted also for the tish. He had a tiny tish, but he wanted to have a tish. So he wanted to have for a tish. He wanted to have alcohol, but that should be shahakal, and he wanted for kiddush to have wine, but priyagofen. So basically, there's a whole recipe he gave that for the wine they should use grapes with seeds. He considered grapes with seeds that those are raisins that were made from grapes that had seeds. It's hard for us to understand because all the raisins we get are obviously seedless. Who wants to have raisins with pits? It's bad enough that you're eating raisins.
Right.
You don't want to have it with pits.
Right.
But in his mind, if there's no pits, this is the in his mind, if there was no pits, this is not really kosher. This is not really grape. Yeah. So in order to make the mashke for his tish, he said that they should use raisins without pits and to put a lot of water. He gave a whole measurement that the ratio of the water is so big that lachol day is it wouldn't be agofen, and also that the grapes should be made, the raisins should be without pits. And then he said for the wine they should have raisins dafka that have pits. A long story. Anyway, bottom line is this this Rabbi Yeshua Portowitz asked the Rebbe, he was up here on Linden Boulevard in a big shul, in a Orthodox shul, the Machitza v'chulu shul, and he asked the Rebbe two questions. The first question was about grapes. The Rebbe's handwriting is very, very clear. The person asked me, why is it that the Rebbe didn't write it on his letterhead? Why did he write it on the letterhead of Kahos? And I'm not going to go into answering that question. I answered his question. It's remarkable that this letter is written on Gimmel Tammuz. If I looked in the Igris Kodesh, there was also another letter that was written that day that's connected to this letter, but I'll leave that for another time. I just want to read to you quickly from the bottom. You could read it, you could see. Ma sheshoyel bin tzemukim sheim bam garinim and vorchem beide prekafim magayin v'mekatshim al zelem it's also shiat nai b'tzemukim shetzarech liz bam garinim. I didn't see that there should be a condition about grapes that the raisins that they have to be made from grapes that had garinim. Brackets. You see the brackets. Rebbe b'mekaymas mavon b'shut tzemach tzedek oirakaim simach of ches. Look in Tzemach Tzedek, Oirachaim, and Tzemach Ches Yuma. The end of that letter is Nitfas B'Sharem Elohim Simen Hey. Acher Achipus. The Rebbe says after I looked a lot about this. Acher Achipus. After I looked about it a lot, the Rebbe says Yogaita Matzosi. I found Matzosi Muva Magos Marsham, the Marsham of Brejan. L'Oirachaim Simen Reish Ayim Beis B'Shem Bal Das Kedoshim. Mefurish, you see the word mefurish is underlined. Da'af she'em behem garinim. Nikra novim batoira.
So raisins are considered a novin even without seeds.
Even without seeds. Even without seeds.
So then raisin wine is considered a
100% agov.
Yeah.
Well, actually, even the Hava Amina.
What's the hava mean?
They're not really grapes. They're dry. They're not great grapes.
I
Are
used to make when my father.
What's the Hava?
Oh, no, those.
Yeah. Hey, he's asking why nafkamina if it has pits or not.
Yeah.
That's his question.
Oh.
And when I read it, I also think, shagas, who cares?
But
Yeah, yeah. So when I read it, I also thought it was a silly question. The Rebbe said he looked and he looked till he found Mefudish and the Marsham Berjan, but the Rebbe didn't have the pleasure that I have, which is owning a little box called Oitzah Chochma, and that has hundreds of thousands of svarim, and you can do a search.
What is it? Is it online?
You could get it online, but you have to have membership, or you buy it as they update it. The basic package now is, I think $2,500, and then you pay a few $100s every year, and you update
Every safer imaginable.
Every safe imaginable. Come on,
Really?
every safe imaginable. Hundreds
Besides
of thousands.
Josh and,
Hundreds of thousands of svarim.
Well, it's
No,
much better than Siparia. No,
well, you can't compare. The thing is, Sfaria has obviously certain things that are better. Sfaria has translation, and they're organized, and they're working. In 1,000 years, Sfaria will be where Oitzah Chochmah is. Then they'll be better because they're very organized. They're very nice in the work they did. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So back to what you were saying. You were asking that L'choida and Taka. That's what my first response. Who cares if they have pits and all pits? Not a shaila. I realized it was not such a narash shaila, and that a lot of people were worried about it. No, I just want to it seems like a lot of the discussion went down the mitziut. They didn't know that the mitziut. They thought that this is maybe murkav. They thought it's not really grapes. Okay, all that is forget. Move that aside. They're grapes. Okay, so that whatever there was safek b'mitzias is not anymore relevant because we know they're grapes. The only shaila is if there's any lumdus to the question. There is a tiny thing because there is a mishnah that talks about in Shvius that when in Lagabe Trumas when is a grape, it says Agefona Mishayigoru. The Rambam says Mishayasu Garinim. It's mashma that there has to have Garinim in order to have the Agdora of grapes. But the bottom line is the Gemara in the beginning of Keitz Mavorchem gives a different interpretation of what Mishigoro means, which is Mishiyosu Kapula Lovim, which is a certain size. And that's the way we paskin. So it's like But anyway, this question occupied a lot of people for a lot of time, and there is a Maracha Shleima in this Day Chemed, which I'm going to leave for another time. And there's an interesting the Rogatchover. Someone wrote a letter to the Rogatchover asking him this question, and he said, "Oh, it's a befedish Gemara in Nazir daf Lamadalit." So I looked in the Gemara in Nazir. It's not so befedish. It's a toisvis. We have extra words in the pasuk mechatzanim ba'adzug. The Nazir is not allowed to have grapes or wine. We said mechatzanim ba'adzag. Why does it? The Gemara says there's extra words. You said you're not allowed to have a grape. Why do you have to say chatzanim v'zag? So the Gemara says to teach you Beina Beinayim. What's Beina Beinayim? The Middle Ages. What's Beina Beinayim? Tosfos says they're tiny grapes. They're very little grapes. You might think that that's permissible for a nazir to have. It's not so clear that those little grapes didn't have pits, but could be because we learned it from Michatzanim V'adzag. That means they don't have chatzanim. And the chiddush is, you would think if they don't have chatzanim, they're not considered a grape. Kamash Malon, they are considered a grape. Obviously, that's the way the Rogatchover is learning. It's a very complicated sugya. I'm just trying to reduce it. That the extra word in the pasuk, mechatzanim and vadzag, is to teach you that not only regular grapes are also from those, are also grapes that have no pits. You might think it's not a grape. Shema, it is a grape. But first of all, there's other interpretations in the sugya, and it's not so mefudish. But the Marshama Berjan found that the Bechacharu, the Das Kedoshim, Reb Avram Warman was the Bechat Cheruv. Today there are Yidden that go around with this family name. I met a Yid on Main Street in Kew Garden Hills, and I said, "What's your name?" He says, "Avram Warman." I said, "Avram Warman? Are you a descendant of the Bechat Cheruv?" He says, "Yeah, I'm 5 generations of the Bechat Cheruv."
Where's Bachacha?
I don't know. It sounds when you say bachacha, it sounds like someplace in Eastern Europe, right?
Yeah.
No. Eastern Europe somewhere. Place. So buchach. So he said he has a mefedish raya from a pasuk, and this is the raya that I was referring to. Let's look inside in the note I gave you. Yeshaya. It's a whole chapter in Yeshaya. The Eibusher says, "Ashira no liyadidi shiras doidi lecharmoi kerem oya liyadidi bekerem ben shemani." The second paragraph, right over here. Vayizakeu vayisaklehu vayiteu soirik. That the Eibusher said, and then there's a whole moshel and a nimshel about the people in Yerushalayim. It's a whole chapter, chapter 5 in Yeshaya. So the Radak says. So basically, it's a moshel and a nimshel. The Eibusher said he planted a beautiful vineyard in Jerusalem, and the Jews made it sloppy, and therefore the Eibusher is he's gonna destroy that vineyard. The Radak says, "Vayizakeu pirush chofrim." Divrei b'sedim tzonu yoshev ezoik tachas hazeisim. Pirush god d'resovim etagim tabas azak tekabas mesaveves. V'roitzel taz kerem goydret chilik deshlo tekonosham chayev etashach sanatoim. V'gam chofer mokim netisa gefonim. A person wants to make a vineyard, the first thing he makes a gate so the animals don't come and eat up his grapes. He also digs, he takes away the rocks that you could, if you have big rocks, that's not good. Then he brings the best, just like Israel did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. There was no vines left in Israel, even though in the days of the Talmud, the days of the Mishnah, in the days of the Nevi'im, Israel was an unbelievable place of wine. They found, there's one company, they bring wine. What's the name of that company? They have like a medallion stuck on the front. No. Pisagot. It's good. They have such an unbelievable, fantastic story. They were looking like, good Jewish businessmen. They were looking for a place to store their wine without building a building, and they are in the mountains of Yehuda. So they went around. They found a big cave. And they wanted to use this storage for their wine barrels. It's cheap, you don't have to build a building. It's nice and cool there. Why build a building and spend a few million shek when you could use a cave? Yiddish cup. There's a rule that if you use a cave in Israel, you have to first call in the Israel Antiquities to make sure there's nothing very valuable there. So they made a call to Israel Antiquities, And Israel antiquity sent someone down to check it out, routine check, flashlight, and
What they find?
they found that that cave was a factory. What do you think they were making there?
Wine.
Wine.
Amazing.
Crazy story.
So that's good.
Crazy story.
Did they end up letting them use
I
it?
think so, yeah. Yeah, they took out the things the story I heard from the CEO of the company. I went to Pisagot many years ago. Many years ago. I was there with my wife. Yeah. And like in Israel, they try to get a lot of the wine companies try to get you to come. And they like have wine and cheese, the taste, and they show you how they do the production, and then they hope that the American walks out with a couple of cases. Huh? I went to Shiloh too. Yeah. I went to
They
Shiloh.
had a lot of wine vineyards there.
I went to Shiloh
In
too.
Efrat, they have a restaurant. In the back of the restaurant, they take you for the
Yeah.
and they make wine right there.
Yeah. It's a very good.
So that's unbelievable.
You can't. How much could you make by selling a tomato? $3 a pound. How much could you make with selling a tomato? Wine. If you make a good bottle of wine, you can sell it for $50, $70, $80. It's you make money. Huh?
Even a few $100.
Even a few $100. What they did is they went to France, a different place. They took from the best of the best because true, Eretz Yisrael, the soil in Eretz Yisrael and atmosphere in Eretz Yisrael is perfect for grapes. Different places, I ahead. But B'chlol Eretz Yisrael is a great place for grapes. So they took and they went to France and they took these plants. There was nothing left from the original grapes in Eretz Yisrael. So here in Yeshaya, the Abisha says, I picked up the Eden from Egypt, like there's unbelievable grapes, and I planted them in Eretz Yisrael, and I protected them, and I built a fence around them, and they're the best. He says, I made them. Yeah. So he says, pits.
Oh,
He says the Jews are the best grapes in the world. They're like those grapes, pitless grapes. Little kids, we give them grapes that have pits. Tati, what's that? Ugh. But when I was a kid, pitless grapes was chiddush dover. Was more expensive.
Right.
Grapes had pits. Only recently, every watermelon has no pits and every grape has no pits. But here the pasuk is saying that I took the Jewish people and I took them out of Egypt like the beautiful vineyard, the guy that wants to plant the beautiful vineyard, and I took them with the sand and the soil, and I took all the rocks away, and I protected them from all the nations. I made that they should be grapes without pits. Because grape without pits are the best grapes in the world. So how could you tell me? How could you tell me that a grape without a pit is nishkin grape? When the Eibishter, the whole chapter in Yeshaya, the Eibishter is bragging that I planted the Jewish people like a seedless grape. Shmami, no, seedless grape is the best thing in the world. So it's a grape. The truth is, the whole Shaklavatay, if you can learn halacha from Radak and Ashi, but the truth is not halacha. We're not learning here halacha. We're learning a metzias. The fact is that it's not a halacha. We're learning that the fact is that these are grapes and they're meshubachim. They're very good. They're considered very good grapes. So this is the raya that Rebbe Avram Warman, the Das Kedoshim, brought, and the Marsham Brijan quotes him. And this is what the Rebbe says in Mefudish. I found it Mefudish. And the other thing that the Rebbe says to look in the Tzemach Tzedek in Eirachaim. It's a long tshuva, and I didn't find anything over there. So it's another discussion why the Rebbe was metzayin to the Tzemach Tzedek Eirachaim. In Tzemach Tzedek Eirachaim, there was a question about the ratio of water and to the raisins. And the Maizeda told me that his father had Poshet Mesiris Nefesh, even though he was already in jail for 3 years, and they let him out. And then eventually they arrested him again. They killed him, Al Kiddush Hashem. But he was makbid always to make wine in order to have for Kiddush. And he had a tiny apartment in Petersburg, and he used to put it in the window, outside the window. and he would, but the ratio of the water and the grapes, the water and the raisins are a big issue. So they said that the Alter Rebbe had a very small ratio. Another time if we have time, I can go through that tshuva. So I'm not sure why the Rebbe was mitzayin to that tshuva, but for sure the Marsham Bejan, the Das Kedoshim is mefurish that you don't have to have grapes, you do not have to have pits. Great pitlets grapes are the most meshubachim, and therefore if you make them into raisins and make water out of it, it's 100% wine and very pregaf, and you use it for kiddush and avdallah. Okay, maybe if we have time, another time I'll continue a little bit about this. Time is short. Someone asked me this week. Baruch Hashem, it's a chosen, it's a zivug shlishi, and he found an apartment.
Shlishi is Chazaka.
Chazaka, yeah. And they had the l'chaim, Baruch Hashem, it's a very big simcha. So at the end of l'chaim, he found an apartment on the same block as the gerushah. Yeah, has gerushah. And the question is, he's allowed to take an apartment on that block.
Why not?
So someone was standing nearby, and he says he's also going to be Masada Kiddushin. And he said, yeah, it's mut, it's not ba'oisei chotze. So I have to tell you something. It's very important not to paskin from things that are in the tip of your memory.
Not sure.
You never know.
Check it out.
I told him, listen, you got your answer. Have a nice day. You guys are good. You're asking me, you have to call me back. I look in a book called the Shulchan Aruch. I don't pass in like
What could be the problem?
I don't know what can be the problem until I open the Shulchan Aruch. I never know what the problem is. I just know that it's in the big. I know where it is. I know where the halach is. Very simple. It's in Hilchos Gittin. Hilchos Gittin starts in simple Flutes. So I know I have to look in the Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, some people are walking Shulchan Aruch. That's fine. They have a disc in their head, but I don't. So
I think we have a bigger disc than most people.
Oh man. So I looked and I saw it was not so simple, but the final analysis is mutter because the gerushah is the bottom line is here in New York, every place is at a shusarabin. And but I looked in Shulchan Aruch and I saw there was a little bit of a let's read it quickly and you'll see that there's a little bit of a shaila here. Shulchan Aruch says Nevnet is a siman kuf yutes sivzai mishik irish ishtem in nisuyin. A person that divorces his wife, not allowed to live in the same chotza. Because they know each other, it'll come to znus. So now,
Chotza can be a building house.
A building probably would be a chotza. Yes, apartment building would probably be a chotza.
Depending on her lawyer.
If the husband was a kohen, he's not allowed to marry her now. He has a law to marry this woman because she's a gerushah. So now they're not allowed to live in the same mavi even. Not only the chotza, but also the mavi.
What's a mavi?
So in those days there was a chatzeris. A chatzeris led into a mavi. A chotza there was like 5-6 houses in a courtyard, and a mavi was like 5-6 chatzeris opened up.
In Chicago, they have a lot of mavur.
Okay, so usually we don't have such thing today of a mavi and a chotza so much. Continue in the Magen Avra. I'm sorry, in the Ramah. If she marries another man, I feel not let him in the same mavi. This is if it's a closed mavi. It's like a dead end. Foolish if it's open. The people walk through it. There's mutter law. They're allowed to live. If the shusram goes through their houses, I feel even if there's only 2 Jews in the whole city, shari it's mutter. Gerushah mishum shasura love if he okay. Let me not finish this. If it's not negaya, let's skip the next piece. The Beis Shmuel Kosev, the Himinisas Atzlach. Have a great day. Himinisas Labal. If she married, she has to go away from the whole shchuna. This is what creates the problem. Beis Shmuel argues under Ramah. And a lot of times we pass on Beis Shmuel. So basically, if she's a pnuya, they're not allowed to be in the same chotzer. Why? Because pnuya, she's free.
Yeah.
So because why? Because if he sleeps with her, it's not the worst avera. It goes all yichud pnuya, but there's no even maybe they're raisa, maybe they're just over raisa the rabbanon, maybe they're over raisa the raisa. It's not the worst. If he's a kohen, sleeping with her is worse because theoretically if he married her, then for sure he would be over a lot. Now sleeping with her without marriage is questionable. Now if she's married to another man, mamish eisa shish. So that's terrible. She sleeps with him. So therefore, if she's a pnuya, you chase her out of the chotzer. If she's eishes kohen, you chase her out of the mavi. If she's an eishes ish, you have to chase her out of the whole shchuna. Now, what's called a shchuna? It's very sensitive. In Crown Heights, they call it the shchuna.
Zip code.
Huh? Zip code. The zip code. What's the shchuna? In the Ramah, it sounds like as long as the Rishus Ramim goes through. No, the Rishus Ramim is talking, but the Shulchan is talking about if it's a chotzer or a mavi. So if it's a mavi and there's a opens and it's a Rishus Ramim, no problem. But if you have to go out of the whole shchuna, and then you're on two sides of the street, and he's 17, and this one and that one, is that, and there's the Rishus Ramim going to make it that as if it's not the same shchuna? I'm not sure. In the case that the person asked me, the woman is not an Eishes Ish, she's single now. So, and he wants to be on a street in Crown Heights, he wants to be a apartment across the street. I don't see a problem in that. Look in the one piece earlier in the Chelkas Mechoikim, where Rishus Ramim with Metem, Avlim Em Dorim Zeh Tzal Zeh, if there's a shared wall, they're scared they're going to take a hammer and break the wall and they're going to meet each other. So therefore, in our case, since she's not remarried, I say that he's allowed to get an apartment across the street. You're going to say, I'll be machmir. Tell him to get, but
Exactly across the street?
yeah. I don't know if it was exactly. He said it's one block and it's across the street. I don't know if it's exactly.
Eastern Parkway, okay.
It's not Eastern Parkway. It's one of the other streets in Crown Heights. I know. Eastern Parkway, I would say it's a different Medina. It's not only a different shchuna. Okay, so because she's pnuya, so I think it's not a shaila at all. But it's funny, people right away because they remember they learned the Rambam right away. They paskin. Even Ezer Simon Kuf Yutes. Yes, Even Ezer. You see, right?
What's the din if he's a Kohen and he's divorced? They allowed to go back to his gerushah?
If the Kohen and she's divorced?
No, Kohen is divorced from a woman.
Yeah.
And then they're getting together. They want to get married again.
Oh, it's also
You can't marry her.
But she's gerushah too. She's not like
doesn't matter.
Divorcee.
Yeah, it's divorcee. Yeah, we spoke about it last week. Okay, now courtyard. I don't know how to say it. It's a chotzer. Super duper courtyard. Yeah, I don't know. Sure, it's different. I don't know how to translate it. Okay, we always do 3 shilas. So the third shaila, someone a bocher called me up, and he said that he has a problem. He has a bird. He bought a bird, and his parents are really upset because the bird is always chirping and doesn't let them sleep.
He's not vain.
And
then you have, can't be.
So I want to tell you sometimes shilas could be funny, entertaining too. So I realized right away that this guy doesn't know how to take care of a bird. I said,
Put a cover on top.
I said, before you go to sleep, you put a big cloth or a blanket over the cage, and the bird knows to go to sleep. And you don't take it off until your parents wake up in the morning. So I said, I have a bird, and this Shabbos taka, the bird heard Moshe Pesach, my grandson, cry. So I made chip, like, please take off the cover. But I know my daughter wants to go to sleep after she's going to take care of the baby. So I was not such a nice guy, and I didn't take off the cover. And I went to shul. Eventually, my wife takes good care of the bird. But anyway, so it turns out he didn't realize that you have to put the bird to sleep at night. So versteht sich, the bird is never sleep deprived. So the bird is screaming all the time. But Amitz Hashem, he'll cover it every night, and he'll uncover it.
Follow up to see if he did it.
It just happened the Thursday. I'll wait for next week if it works.
Yeah, you have to say Shema with the bird. When you put the cover.
Not a
you
bad
have to say
idea.
Shema.
Not a bad idea.
If you sleep better.
If it's a parrot,
Right, parrot will answer you.
Yeah,
I said already.
Yeah.
Why did he ask you this question? It's not a question for Halacha, it's a question of.
Rabbi knows everything.
And he didn't know. Because he didn't realize. He was saying
Thought it was a
maybe I
Shalom
should.
Bayis problem.
Yeah, he thought it was a Shalom Bayis problem. Okay, the Rebbe shall help him. And this final stretch going into Kabbalah Satoida, we should be Kabbalah Satoida. The Simcha B'Pnimius.
Amen.
Baruch